little bit about Tether, its origins. Hello everyone, I'm Paolo Ardoino. I'm CTO at Bitfinex, Tether, and CSO at Punch. So today I would like to talk to you a little bit about Tether, its origins, why Tether USDT exists. So first of all, Tether USDT is a stablecoin. Actually, Tether created the entire market of stablecoins in 2014. The reason was quite simple. In 2014, there were just few Bitcoin exchanges. Traders had difficulties to move dollars from one exchange to another in order to trade, arbitrage, and so on. And the group around Bitfinex had this idea. Why not using the same technology, the brilliant technology that was powering Bitcoin called blockchain, and use it to move dollars? So you can think about Tether as simply as a dollar on a blockchain. So fast forward many years, Tether has been used by and introduced by many exchanges, merchants around the world. And if you think about it, in the crypto trading industry, every single trading pair is traded against USDT, our core product. But recently, in the last 2-3 years, it became more evident that Tether was going to be extremely important for emerging markets in developing countries. The reality is that Bitcoin is great, is beautiful, I think is the ultimate freedom tool. But there are many places and many communities that have a desperate need of dollars, right? Because they live in countries where their national currency is devaluating really quickly year after year. I'm thinking about Turkey. I'm thinking about, for example, Argentina, Venezuela, and Nigeria, for example. These national currencies are losing 60-80% of value against the dollar every single year. So citizens in these areas are using the dollar not as a way to speculate, just as a lifeline, as an asset that they can hold in order to protect themselves, protect their families, and save enough money to maybe give a better life to their children. So the best way for these communities to access the dollar is actually USDT, is Tether. Tether is, in my opinion, just leaving aside Bitcoin, is the ultimate freedom tool. Helps really many people around the world to get access to financial services, to have access to basically a checking account that they didn't have. You just need a smartphone, and if you are a merchant, you have any type of job, you can spend Tether extremely easily. Tether USDT is safe, is secure, and you can find it everywhere, right? Just online, there are hundreds of exchanges, actually thousands of exchanges that are supporting Tether. But there are tens of, almost hundreds of thousands of merchants and locations, physical and online locations, that accept Tether and as a way to spend dollars. So Tether is becoming really quickly one of the most used currencies in the world. So let me give you a few examples on real-world use cases for Tether.
As a co-founder of a HR agency, so we provide these services to crypto projects, and obviously we have a lot of people working for us, and then we need to pay salaries. We cannot actually pay everybody in their native currency, so Tether helps us with this. With Tether, we are able to satisfy everybody. We are able to pay everyone irrespective of their nationality and wherever they are working from, and then they are able to convert Tether to their preferred fiat or any other currency they are interested in holding.
Given that Nigeria is a very peculiar country, inflation, things rising, things going up and down, saving in Tether has been one thing we are happy and we are glad about, because it just helps us beat the entire Nigerian inflation and gives us more value for our money.
My name is Linda Ubi. I am an open internet advocate, a blockchain entrepreneur, and a businesswoman. It's a no-brainer why I choose Tether because of the stability and the fluidity that it presents. Tether has helped my business grow because it allows me move and convert money from crypto to fiat through traditional finance systems rather, and I'm able to sort out my international suppliers and local suppliers. I also accept Tether payments in store because it's easy to convert.
One of my friends, for example, is Turkish, and he was telling me that he works of course really hard to provide for his family, and one of his dreams is to allow his children to go and study abroad. But the issue is that if he was holding on the Turkish lira and saving in Turkish lira, he would not be able to send his children to study abroad when they are a little bit older, because being since the Turkish lira is devaluating 80% against the dollar year over year, then at the end of the year, after working an entire year, is poorer than at the beginning of the year, right? So he's using USDT as a saving currency for just to provide a better future to his children, and this he's not alone. In Turkey, at some point, and I think also in at this moment, Tether USDT is the second currency by trading volume um, in the entire country. So the access to Tether in Istanbul and all the other cities in Turkey is everywhere. So this speaks a lot about the work that we have been doing, but more importantly about the utility of Tether USDT. We didn't invest much in marketing to achieve that, right? To become the second currency traded in Turkey. It became natural just because Tether is useful, and that's I think one of the most interesting and rewarding things that you can see when you can achieve when you build a product, right? It has success just because it's useful to many people. Also, we are seeing in Lebanon how even all media, both in Lebanon and also outside, all the mainstream medias, talk about how Bitcoin and Tether USDT have been used by the local population to combat inflation and protect their savings, right? So I think that all these stories, if you look around, if you search online, all these stories has a common pattern. There are many locations and many communities that have been left alone by the banking system, by the financial system, or by their governments, and they are turning to Bitcoin, they are turning to Tether to have a lifeline. So today, here with you, there is Marco, a good friend, and also one of our people that are going around the world to explain what Tether is, how it can be used, and why it's so important. So I hope that you are going to enjoy his speech, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. So I'm working a lot with Paolo on like expansion strategies for Tether and Bitfinex. And actually here people around asking questions, it's every time like a good learning. And there are many like needs and challenges that we are seeing like from both from like developed countries and for developing countries. For example, like we are experiencing like high percentage of unbanked population. We are working a lot in Latin America, for example, but we're working also in Africa. And there are like maybe unreliable like payment systems when it comes also to remittances, but also to domestic payments. We are experiencing high inflation. Paolo was mentioning like many countries, for example, like Turkey, but also like here there are countries with really high inflation, and people tend to use Bitcoin and USDT in order to hedge this high inflation. No, it's fine. No, it works. No, it works. Thank you. Then by talking with people here, also I'm understanding that sometimes like even data coverage and like data connection might be a problem, especially in a remote area. So you can provide like wallets or whatever to people, but then if they don't have internet connection, then it's like a problem. And there are like in this way, even if you have a company and you want to export, it's difficult for you to receive money and to trade, especially on commodities, for instance. So even talking with Farida, I don't know if she's here now, but we were looking at the different sectors where these kind of technologies can help. And for example, healthcare, real estate, commodities, tourism, retail are some of the sectors. What we are doing in many different countries, I'm based actually in Switzerland, and we are doing kind of the same things as well there. We are working, first of all, a lot on education. So the first thing we do, we try to make a cooperation with the universities, and we try to build up like agreements for which we start like developing courses around Bitcoin, about stablecoins, and so on. Because the first thing, even if you provide whatever you want, like a wallet, ATM, or whatever, but then if people don't understand the need and the meaning of Bitcoin and Tether, you can do whatever you want, but you need to firstly like make people aware. And so we do this kind of community and engagement things. In Lugano, for instance, in the city where I am in Switzerland, we established like a big hub where all the Bitcoin-related startups can go, talk, like experience like other startup stories, and be mentored by our companies. And what we did also, and what we are doing, is like merchants integration. So now think about you have a wallet where you can spend Bitcoin and USDT. But then you can also go on the street and pay just through a QR code or in a merchant in Bitcoin on Lightning, for example. And then many merchants, they feel like, okay, but then I will have volatility. I don't want to have like that kind of asset. Not everyone understood it, of course. And actually, in the background, at least initially, for some merchants, we convert directly everything in stablecoin, and then the merchants receive the local currency after 1 week. So imagine that they have a slider where they can decide, I want to take 10% BTC, and then I want 90% of my local currency. And then we see that maybe the weeks after, they say like, I want to take 50% BTC and 50% the local currency. So they can decide, so based on their kind of risk profile and risk attitude, they can decide how much like local currency and BTC to take. I don't know if you have seen, but in Brazil, for example, Tether implemented 24,000 ATMs around Brazil. So, you know, it's not just one piece. Every country has different needs. So you may want to have like point of sales at merchants. You may want to have like a wallet for Bitcoin and Tether. You may want to have like ATMs. In this way, almost you don't need any more fiat in a certain way. So you create a system for which you don't rely anymore on fiat currencies. And then we are doing like many, when we decide like entering like in a country, then we are doing like many funding like initiatives for startups. So basically with our network of companies, we try to invest in Bitcoin related startup to boost the ecosystem. So especially now in Switzerland, I was like working, 1 second. I was working together with the universities, if it works, about really deploying grants. So we go to a university, we talk to the professors, to the rectors, and so on, and we say, hey, if you start like also implementing courses where we can help you, so we can bring our industry expertise, we deploy scholarships for your students, so that students basically don't have to struggle in embarking in a course, but we can like assist them if they want to go in this direction. Then, as I was saying before, we tend to like work on merchants integration. So maybe providing like a wallet to easily like send money, and all the investment in infrastructure. So it might be ATM, might be customer support, everything. Then it's really important, like everything we do is not about like making something to have fiscal advantages, but we want people to find jobs and to start working like remotely. It's so cool that on Bitcoin related and stablecoins related startups, you can work from here. I can stay here even like 6 months, 1 year, and I can work from Tether like from everywhere. So there is a really good opportunity to also boost jobs like in this place if politicians and governments like decide to embark in this. And yeah, just the last thing, it's really important to create an ecosystem in which there are like meetups. It's not just education like in the universities, but also creating like communities that can like rehearse every week. So that's why we do like, we try to create co-working spaces and startup hubs so that we can create like events every week. And usually we try also to do something like a genius bar that like Apple did, so that if a guy wants to install a wallet and don't know how to do it, they can just show up, and there's always someone that can help us like doing that, so that it's really accessible to the world population. And I stop and I let you go eating. If you want to talk to me, I will be around. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mark.